Well, hello on this 12/12 portal day. And to start this transmission off, I've been asked to play the frequency, because we talk about frequency all the time on this podcast, whatever you want to call it, this Venus Cosmic Weather Report for the 12th of December 2025. And so this morning we went to Bugarash, which is just down the road from here. A group of us met and we meditated at 12:12 while a dear friend, yes, it's already starting, while a dear friend was in the Lebanon in an amazing chapel there. And we were really working with the energy this morning. And this is the frequency of this 12/12 portal. So if you want to take a deep breath through the nose, hold it, and then let it go and just enjoy. And one more time. And thank you for those moments. These are one of the tools that we use here at Dragon's Eye Hub. So we hope you enjoyed that. That was just to help you get into this energy. I've obviously got my glasses on right from the beginning because there's a lot to get through. We created a chart today, and as you can see, there's quite a lot going on. So let's get started. And don't forget, all this is on dragon'seyehub.com if this isn't your first language, and if you subscribe down below you'll get an alert which will tell you when this whatever you want to call it, whenever this session is on YouTube, and also when it's on Dragon's Eye Hub, because they go on the same time on the same day. So let's get going on this 12/12 portal. 1185 hertz on the 222 hertz. This is working with the collective north node, which is at the top of the heart energy center. This is the collective soul growth going forward. Working with the crystal moon Ariel, a moon of Uranus, enabling us to work with our creation of our collective soul growth, working with the crystal Amethyst, a nurturing healing crystal, creating movement to our emotional journey. Ariel, the crystal moon, working with the sun, the moon, Mercury and Jupiter, enabling illumination of solar codes, working with our emotional well-being and emotional intelligence. Expansion of this coming straight into the conscious mind, creating through the lemurien point, which we've talked about before, which enables the fifth dimensional energy to work on the planes within the fourth dimension and below. So the message this morning were the blocks are off. So I was meditating with another friend last week and the week before, and there's a river where I go to, and there was this tsunami of energy, of water energy, and it had like a light digital clock on, and it was being held back. Well, this week that digital clock has gone and the water just thundered through. So there's a lot going on right now energetically, and the blocks are off. To co-create the reality you've been dreaming of, this energy is gaining momentum, and with this, emotions are surfacing, and it may feel like there's a lot of emotion right now around you, you know, with people around you, with what's going on in the world. But you're going to find it's very empowering after the new moon on the 20th of December. So we're being asked to work on ourselves. This is giving us time to work with ourselves. And there are many archetypes coming through from the Christ consciousness. The last 2 weeks, the three Marys, Mary of Sidon, Mary of Beth, and Mary of Magda and Anna, working with the Pleiadian energy, which works with the ascended masters of this plane, the frequency of connection and compassion with ourselves. So as we were talking last week about Chiron, it's on the world stage, and it's going from fire and it's going back into those watery depths. So after this new moon on the 20th, we'll find it's gone more into water, so it's much more healing, but then it's going to come back into fire. So it's giving us time to work on ourselves. There are, like we said, those archetypes of connection and compassion with ourselves. So it's asking us to step back and give ourselves that time to work with ourselves. On the world stage, we, like I just said, we still have Chiron and self-love, and it's squaring Jupiter of expansion, root energy, center. So if you're feeling contraction with the self, Chiron being on the right hand side of your heart center. If you're feeling contraction against your own personal self-love, we have another two parts of this conversation enabling this. Because in this astrology, a square has four corners, right? So normally in astrology, a square is a 90-degree angle between 2 points. And with this astrology that we've channeled, there are another 2 points to this square that give us more information, more conversation on the points that are trying to have a conversation, but it's a bit contracted. So we've got Chiron, self-love, and we've got Jupiter, expansion. And if we've got any issues within that's not quite self-loving ourselves, Jupiter wants to expand on this. But if you're working on your self-love, then it's also going to expand on this in the positive direction. So if you're feeling that bit of contraction, these are the other 2 points that are here to help us. The first one is 741 Hertz on 333. Now 741 is balance. 741 is the ambassador energy, and it's on the definition, on the degree of storyteller and defense. So if you're feeling a bit defensive, if you're feeling like the world's against you, we're being asked, this point of the conversation wants to look at the story we're telling ourselves and others. Is this story true to you? Are you telling yourself and others a positive self-definition? You know, often we downplay what we do. We tend to go, oh, you know, different ways, different places all over the world were taught differently. And so are we telling ourselves a positive self-definition? Are we telling others a positive self-definition? You know, what are we telling ourselves? What is that definition all about? And that's what it's asking. It's asking us to look at the more positive sides and help that create the story that you want to create. And you can invoke this. You can invoke the frequency. So you say, I invoke the 741 on the 333 storyteller defense, and see what comes in. You can also play 741. If you go to dragon'seyehub.com, press on the orange button right on the home page, and it says frequency directory. Press on that button and you'll see all the frequencies there. So just press and play 741, invoke the frequency. I invoke the 741 on the 333 storyteller defense, and see what comes through. It might be a really nice tool to work with right now. The other part of this square is 11 Hertz on 333 Hertz, which is the dark blue galactic dragons. Now these are 9th dimensional beings, and they're utilizing this lemurien portal that's happening today, because 1212 today is all about that Gaian portal of working with the ascended divine feminine. This is what's really, really coming in. This is why the Uranian moon has come in to really help us co-create the foundations before Uranus goes direct next February on the 4th. So the other point of this square is the aid of the galactic dark blue dragons, who are coming in from the 9th dimension to aid the disruption of the emotional state. They are working with you to ignite the codes of your master blueprint, to access cosmic wisdom, to enable the perspective you're working with, to open this perspective you're working with so you can see more, understand more, and then you create a more positive self-definition of yourself and the world around you. This frequency is working with your light anatomy, your energetic system. So look to your body map and take a look and see if you've got any 111 on the 333, to see if these dark galactic blue dragons are working with you personally. And again, you can invoke them. I invoke the 111 on the 333 dark blue galactic dragon, and what was the other word? Disruption. And you can play 111 at the same time. You maybe want to play these frequencies. I often put a speaker under my bed and just play the frequencies. Some last 9 hours, some last an hour. I never see the end of it because I tend to fall asleep. But that energy then is working with you in the dreamscape. So however you want to work with this energy, this is a really, really good time, good week to work with that energy, because these are the other two corners to this squaring that we're feeling, this contraction within the emotional state, because things are really coming up. So we can finally clear. And once we clear, we can then start with our new road. So it's a very, very helpful, although it may not feel like this. So we work from there, and then with Venus working with the Arcturians, enabling with emotional health. So it's all very much about our emotional health and our emotional intelligence. On the 852 hertz, the unconscious, so Venus is working within our unconscious and enabling us to get messages from our unconscious, something that needs to be seen before it needs to leave or stay, depending on your journey. So as I said, Venus working with the Arcturians, enabling with emotional health on the 852 hertz, the unconscious. A lot of emotional energy rising up within all beings. The difference is, how are you going to respond? Will you step back, go within, then come out? Or will you just let it play out unconsciously? Or balance within, with it? You see, we can either allow it just to play out unconsciously and then anything goes. We can go to the other end where we step back and we're very conscious of what's coming through, or we can find that balance in the middle where sometimes it can be too painful to see it all, but you can get the gist of it and go, okay, what can I learn from this? Once you can learn something from it, you can allow it to go, and then it doesn't need to come back again. So as I said, when you're working with Venus, in the subconscious, it's very interesting how it works, because you'll be getting messages from within, messages from childhood, past lives, and it's not all necessarily bad. It just depends on your outlook. It depends on how you view this that's coming up. But without a doubt, there's going to be a lot of emotion this week that wants to finally be seen before it disappears. So it's a really good week to work with Venus. We've put the list down below this. I don't know what to call this again. Words are disappearing because this energy is coming through me. But there is a message below this video. And within that message, you have Venus on all the different frequencies for every day. And you can also go to Dragon's Eye Hub, where this whole Venus weather report, cosmic weather report, has been written down. This is what I'm reading from here, and I've put it on. I've lost my words again. So we've put that on dragon'seyehub.com. Sorry, let's get clear. On dragon'seyehub.com, on the blog section there, and you can put it into any language, so it might be easier if this is not your first language, English. That being said, so here we go. Venus is working diligently, enabling us. Tune into the frequencies of her and see how it can help enable your emotional journey. Look to see if you have these frequencies within your body map, to see if Venus is enabling you through your energy center or centers, depending. So today she's working with surrender and separation, codes coming in. On the 13th, she'll be working with evolution, believe, and partnership. So there is some co-creation going on. On the 14th, she's working with activation and clarity of the self. So here we have this positive self-definition of ourselves and the story that we're telling others and ourselves, because the story that we're telling ourselves then reflects into our reality. So it's a good time to go within, look at that Chiron, that self-love, and that story, that definition that we're telling ourselves and others, and how you may want to change it completely, or just a little bit, or just get those big girl pants on or big boy pants on and walk out there and say, this is who I am. So there's lots of different definitions of this. On the 15th of December, it's the gateway energy. It's connection to the Ascended Divine Feminine Gaian portal, which is what today's all about. And this is working with the unconscious, so there's lots of things coming up there. But this is working on the 963 hertz, which is the frequency of connection. And it's the Pleiadian frequency that enables us to work with the physical self. So if you've got any physical issues, that's a really good day to work with it, and it's a gateway day. On the 16th, it's the flower of life and defense, and it's remembrance. It's all about remembrance. There's a lot of stuff coming from the unconscious about remembrance of who you really are, of yes, this is who you are, and really go into that gut instinct. Really listen to yourself, because this week is all about that. And this is all about the flower of life and defense. So the flower of life, I was shown, comes from the angelic song. It's the notes that the angelics sing, and it's the notes that we sing from our harp. It's what we're telling others and what we're telling ourselves. And every note that comes out, every word has a flower of life and a dragon coming out of it. So it's when you really think about when we speak, if I speak slowly, I can also almost see those bubbles, like a bubble machine coming out my mouth. So just, be aware of what you're telling yourself and telling others about yourself. Because this square, this cube, has much more energy to it. It's not just that one line. It has lots of different parts of conversation. This is what we're trying to bring forward this week. On the 18th, this is when Venus moves out of the unconscious and goes into the ascended masters. She goes from water energy to fire. So as Chiron is going into water, out of fire, we have Venus going into fire. So it's going to be a lot of messages coming in from next Thursday onwards, and it's going to be very powerful. It's going to be very quick. It's fire energy. So as we work on ourselves this week emotionally, with our emotional intelligence, working with that wisdom of the moons, from all those heart stones, especially that crystal moon that we talked about before, Ariel, the Uranian crystal moon. Venus goes on the threshold between Libra and Sagittarius, which is balance and the ascended masters. And straight away we had, if you remember last week, we had Mercury working with Mercury. Well, this week we have Venus working with Mercury, not the planet, Mercury, the ascended master, and it's a breakthrough day. Messages coming through clear as Venus is working with Mercury. A crucial day as this comes straight from the unconscious to the conscious mind. So this week started with a bang, which is our 1185 on the 222 with that Lemurian portal, working with that Ariel crystalline blueprint moon of Uranus. So be kind to yourself. That's what this energy is all about this week. And go with your gut instinct. Earthing is a very good tool. Grounding, any grounding energy that you can do is a very good tool as you release emotion, for the compost with Gaia. She can help you out. And it's a very good tool with this emotional energy at the moment. So every thought counts, inside and out. So have a beautiful week and much love. And sorry I couldn't find the words, but there's a lot of energy running through and I'm slowing down because sometimes it can get very energetic, of course. So have a beautiful week and I hope you've had a wonderful 12/12. And for those of you around the world who are just waking up, have a beautiful 12/12. For me, I'm going to a pantomime with my friend because another friend is in the pantomime. It's in France. So it's the first pantomime I've been to in France, and it's for Christmas. It's an English tradition that's crossed the channel. So it's going to be fun tonight. So have a bit of fun. Like when it gets a bit too emotional, have a bit of fun. Be kind to yourself, have some compassion and others. So have a great week. We love you. Bye.